Please welcome Ignazio Pizano.
Hello everybody, thanks a lot. I'm going to be very quick because we're running a couple of minutes late and because it's the last session and because then we want to go to the most important thing of the day, the very true reason why we're here, free drinks and networking. I have been in revenue management for a little bit of time and I worked for hotels and car rental companies and hotels companies like Louvre, which is probably mostly known in France, and others that are known in Europe, like NH Hotels and other hospitality companies. And then I had the chance to work for Europcar, and this is where I learned that little bit that I know about car rental. So I'm going to share something that I've learned, something that really struck me. This is not a masterclass, this is something really my experience for you to share, for you to think, oh, this applies to me, doesn't apply to me, this is right, this is wrong. So let's keep it interactive if we can, so we don't fall asleep. First of all, I'd like to share what we did at Louvre with regards to a big excellence project in terms of pricing and revenue management that we launched, and how this degree of magnitude compares to your company. You are entrepreneurs, you are managers, you are employees, it doesn't matter. Revenue management and pricing and yield management applies everywhere. If you don't do it, do it. If you do it more. Second is a little bit of comparison of revenue management and yield management practices across industries. I haven't worked actively in airlines. I wished I had. I couldn't, but I did hospitality and car rental and I found some differences, and this really struck me. I think it's something I want to share with you. And number three is how, beyond pricing and revenue management, we can take a little walk out of the revenue management box and see what are the other factors, among the many, that applies to increase our business. Pricing and revenue management excellence. In 2020, end of 2020, out of the pandemic, this big company that is Louvre Hotel, 1,700 hotels in 67 countries, although 900 of them are based in France. We're talking about economy and mid-scale hotels, so 1, 2, 3 stars hotels. After being acquired by a large Chinese shareholder, decided or had to decide what were the biggest levers to achieve the turnaround that the shareholders demanded. And they have identified, because at the time I didn't join the company yet, they found two levers. They identified one was the finance lever with an ERP that was not existing in the company, and the second one was revenue management and pricing that did already exist. But they thought it was not up to standards and the level they wanted to. So we had this pretty famous consulting company called Simon Kucher that came over. They designed a large 5-year-long program called Pricing and Revenue Management Excellence. You have, just to give you a few numbers, this is a company, apart from hotels, it's a company that generates just directly a little over 700 million euros per year. And the remaining, of course, turnover is generated by the franchisees. This is the magnitude of the turnover we're talking about. So from the very moment somebody around the top management table said, I want to do revenue management, let's do something about it, to the very moment where the whole project was implemented fully, there was a span of 24 months. I'm generous. We had a couple of delays, but it really took a little bit of time. Bearing in mind, this company did already have revenue management people doing revenue management. We focused on 3 levers, 1 or 3 areas, if we want to call it so. Pricing, strategic pricing, performance, and tools. Everybody knows what tools are. Pricing too. Performance means who is going to check whether revenue management people are doing their job and are doing their job correctly. Because the revenue manager, if you do have one in your company, or if you do have a guy in your company acting as a revenue manager, is typically, or she is typically the person who goes after salespeople because they selling too cheap, goes after marketing people because they don't sell enough, and nobody really checks after what revenue management people are doing. Are they pricing correctly? Are they adjusting restrictions correctly or not? So performance is a discipline that aim at checking whether revenue management people, if you don't have a revenue management person in your organization, just think about the people that are looking after prices and yield and restriction and all that and capacity. So this is the one person I'm talking about. Performance. So somebody responsible for performance would be the worst friend of the revenue management person. So we created this 3 department. We have launched a large project to implement a revenue management system. And it took 20 people, IT people, project managers, business people, sales, mostly pricing and revenue management, 20 people, which is a cost. I mean, imagine paying 20 people just to launch a project. I'm not talking about the people that helped and contributed to that. I'm just talking about the people who worked full-time about it. And how much did we generate in year 1? 8 million euros on top of the regular revenue. And this is was a 5-year-long project that at the end of the cycle would generate 50 million euros. Now, it's a large thing because it's a large company. And I tell you, it costed just upfront, right, to pay the guy from the consultancy firm who designed the tool, the plan, to pay the people like me and the others that were hired by the company to run and implement the project. It cost between 1 and 2 millions in the first 18 months. So we really didn't have a break even on the project until, let's say, year 2. So for 1 year, we just worked to pay off what we had spent the year before to launch the project. However, if you think in perspective, in 5 years, we're gonna make 50 plus million that we wouldn't have made if the project wasn't launched. I think it makes a difference. And it's sustainable. And this revenue, this additional revenue, this incremental revenue is here to stay, and we see it. So what do you need for that? Regardless of the size of your business, you could have a company with a fleet of 100 cars, or you could have a bigger company with a fleet of 10,000 cars. Principle more or less remain the same. You need a budget. Who says? Budget says the guy who pushes the button, the finance director, the CEO, the owner of the business must be convinced. He must put the money up front. Then you need the culture that must change in the company. Some of you are accustomed to revenue management. They accept it, they understand it, they're happy with it. Some others don't know what that is. It just scrambles the things, the ordinary things that you do in your company, and therefore they don't accept it. Some people, legitimately or not, don't accept the changes that are brought over by RM. And this is the #1 showstopper when you launch such a project. If you don't have a culture, or if you're not able to adapt the culture of the company for the people to welcome revenue management, it won't work, or it will take a lot of effort. #3 is the talent. If you don't have a revenue management person, just identify somebody of your team that is passionate about numbers, that is analytical, that is a number cruncher, that is a business sense, that is rigorous. And probably this person would make a decent revenue manager. And if you do not identify such a person, go out there and hire a talented revenue manager. He will pay off every penny you pay him or her immediately, because revenue management pays off certainly, with certainty. And #4 is execution. We had the chance at Louvre to have the money, thanks Chinese shareholders, to pay top-class consulting firm to design a top-class program. But that's not the case for everybody. And despite this fantastic program, I remember we had periods where it simply didn't move an inch because the project management didn't work, because the tool wasn't working, because the interface, because we had to hire people and we couldn't find people that are matching with the budget that we had. So it's not just having a fantastic plan, it's of course executing it. So project management, believing into it, etc., etc. It worked. In the end, it worked, all right? We run every 3 months an analysis to see how much incremental revenue we generate, and believe it or not, and with the help of a favorable economic scenario that we, I guess, all enjoyed after the pandemic, we have over-delivered the objective of the plan, which is a fantastic thing when you are like I was responsible for this project. I have oversimplified my vision about the main levers and aspects of revenue yield and pricing across 3 industries. Because sometimes we think, we hotel revenue managers, we think, oh, we have the dirtiest job, the hardest job, it's too difficult. Come on, car rental. Of course, you're going to car rental. This is gonna be, a breeze because it's very easy. You don't have the customer. Car rental is just cars. I mean, how easy is that? No, it's not that easy. And then you think, but then airlines are airlines. You don't even have cars. You don't have to transport cars. You don't have to wash cars, and blah 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 blah. So it must be easy. No, it's not really that easy. There are certain aspects that are harder or much harder in certain industries and others in other industries. So let's start with capacity. Capacity is the single most important factor that differentiates and makes the difference between a good season, a good result, and a bad season, a good result in your business. Forget about the pricing. Pricing in car rental, it is something that comes second or maybe third compared to capacity. Okay, we might think, or my experience is, I have seen people obsessed in car rental with pricing, like checking multiple times a day if we were €1 closer, up or down, or to the competitor XYZ. I do remember, and this is a true story, a general manager of a Europe car country, corporate country, where I was supposed to go and do something revenue management. And after my presentation about pricing, the guidelines and everything we should do, he said, well, we do much better than you guys at HQ suggest us to do. Because you suggest us, to adjust prices by €1 up or down and blah, blah. Whereas we do already adjust prices by 1 cent up or down. I was coming at the time from the hotel industry. We didn't do that. And it was shocking, of course, respectfully shocking. I always learn, and I did learn a lot. Actually, I was slapped in my face multiple times when I joined the car rental industry because I didn't understand much of the concept, but then I grabbed it. So just to think, capacity is the #1 thing that you want to be spending time on and your people spending time on. Is not pricing. Pricing, by the way, nowadays with the old technology around, you can do whatever you want with pricing. You just put some stupid business rules. And by the way, there are some intelligent tools that don't even require the stupid business rules anymore. That was 10 years ago. So they do the job for you, but capacity is really where the value is. Whereas for hotels, there's no capacity because the 100 rooms we have today are going to be there tomorrow. Nobody's going to move them, nobody's going to break them, and nobody's going to be late in delivering rooms, etc., etc. And in airlines, yes, you do have that degree of flexibility of capacity. You can add or remove capacity, but it's not going to happen like with cars, right? It's not that like I did at Europe Car, we call the truck company and say, can you please bring over 400 cars from Nice to Paris because I have more demand there. You don't do that with planes. So you have a degree of flexibility, but it's less. Pricing, on the other hand, is way much more complex on airline because you have point-to-point pricing. The same aircraft start at 6:30 in the morning London Luton, then goes down to Paris, then goes to Mallorca, then goes to Milan, then goes back again via Germany to London. And that was multiple routes, multiple legs on multiple pricing classes. So it's way more sophisticated than what we do in car rental. 20 years ago, when maybe few people in car rental did a forecast, did yield management and revenue management, when Emmanuel was starting to pioneer the yield management for car rental and others, the airlines, they did already have a fully automated revenue management system. So just to say how much they are 20 years ahead in terms of technology, in terms of practices. Customer experience, I mean, apart that Shady did a fantastic presentation about the experience of Advanced, but I was surprised and spoiled a bit about the customer experience thing, the glass of wine and the bag and the little details, because I don't recall having seen much of that for other car rentals, including big players such as the green, the yellow, the red ones. And that is fantastic because there are few things we can differentiate ourselves compared to our friends of Avis and Europcar and Hertz next to us. And this is not going to be the black Volkswagen Golf because it's the same, and it's not going to be the location because it's the same. So customer service, and much of that Shady said, it's a fantastic example and it's a fantastic differentiation point. But unfortunately, it is underdeveloped in airline and in car rental, whereas for us in hotels, this is a must, because you don't just buy a hotel. You don't buy a hotel because it's 4-star, do you? You buy the location, you buy the name, you buy the brand, you buy the experience, you buy what you find inside. You cannot do the same when you book a car or when you book a seat, because a black Volkswagen Golf is going to look alike another black Volkswagen Golf, and you know that a seat on a plane is going to look alike any other seat on a plane. But that's not true for hotels, and this is why people spend so much time on it. And finally, operations. So operations is where, for hotels, it's probably the easiest, all right? We don't have to wash cars, we don't have cars that are moving left and right, we don't have customers that crash the cars, etc., etc. For car rental, it's a little more difficult. You know better than me, no news here. And imagine for airlines, all the security issues, all the operations or the handling. 80% of what happens to you when before you get on a plane, it doesn't happen on the plane, it happens before. You have to get to the airport, through the security, then the check-in, then the gate, then the onboarding. So they are sharing this with the much complex operators. I do have a much easier job than most of you, because I'm not an owner. There's not my money out there. I get a salary every month, and most of what my boss asks is, all right, tell me how we're doing versus last year, versus forecast, versus budget. Tell me about our competition. Tell me, are we going to make the budget or not, blah, blah, blah. And I run a few reports. I add a little bit of experience that I achieved, and I am able to deliver that. I guess there is much more, and over the years I have learned there is much more that we should consider as revenue managers, marketeers, salespersons, whoever is in charge in your organization, even if it's yourself, to ensure we do have a successful commercialization of our product, of our cars. First of all, I have mentioned some. The list might not be comprehensive, and there might not be the right order, and you will add what I have missed. Number one thing is the airline capacity shift. If we have less capacity, there are going to be less people at the counter, and that's a fact. And there's nothing that your pricing manager or your marketing manager can do to change that, because it's not in your hands. So what do you want to do? Well, if you can do nothing, you really want to price correctly the cars you have. If you can move cars because you are a multi-location operator, you want to look at that and wisely, carefully choosing where you want to put your cars. But look at capacity shift. You can do it manually. If you are a small company, you don't want to invest or you cannot invest, go around, Google it, Chat GPT it, do AI it, and you will find, especially because, airlines, they have investors' calls that are pretty tough, and they have to unveil where they're going to put their capacity. So they do it usually during the investors' calls. They would reveal, I'm going to increase capacity here and decrease it there. I'm going to cut orders to Boeing and put it on Airbus, but they're going to be delivered in 18 months. So you can kind of grasp a little bit the situation or buy the data. There is a long queue of people that are willing to sell you beautiful data about capacity. You can buy that. Number 2, mega trends. It's been a year and a half since I've started listening over and over and over again about economists, scientists saying, oh, we're going to enter a very tough recession. Oh, economy is going to get worse. Oh, we enjoyed 2022 as a fantastic year because people after the pandemic had their pockets full of money, but now it's gone. So prepare for the worst. Brace. It didn't happen. It did not happen. I mean, I have never enjoyed a continued 24 months period of like, can you increase the prices? Yes. Is still selling? Yes. Keep increasing it. Is still selling? Yes. And like this, and we overachieve the budget. I'm not just saying it just to, to say, oh, we're big, we're good. We are the same people that we were 2 years ago, good or bad, but we enjoyed a fantastic increase of average prices in the last 2 years because the market condition was good. Lufthansa, KLM Air France, they broke the all records profit, guess when? In 2023. All right. Right when economists and everything say, oh, it's going to be a recession period, oh, it's going to be terrible. No, it's not. It wasn't terrible. So mega trend is, for instance, things like this. In France, in 2023, we had people that restarted flying long haul, whereas in 2022, they would still remain in France. And when you have this, you fill the pockets of airlines and you have less people consuming domestically, which turn into us taking a hit out of it. But this is a mega trend, very hard to anticipate, but it is. Destination marketing, of course, because we have to understand our governments spending money to promote this destination, that destination. There are things, destination marketing wise, that might influence your business and you want to be on top of it. Customer perception. I always been told your competitor is this one, this hotel next to you, your competitor, I am Europcar, my competitor is Avis, my competitor is Hertz, for no reason. It's simply because it's there. But if sometimes you ask customers, you ask people who are buying and consuming your product, who are you going to rent a car from if you have to choose just freely? Probably his answer is not what you expect. And if you make another question and say, who are you going to rent a car from if I am fully booked? Again, probably the answer is not what you expect. So this is something that is absolutely crucial. So to be, and it takes a little bravery, to be willing to go ask the customer and define the beautiful marketing report and brand awareness things that you do get or your marketing manager get to you and say, what do really customers think of my brand, my service, my quality? Because probably you will discover that your competitor is not the one you think it is simply because the name says he's a competitor. And big events, of course. Events is at the heart of every demand. Why do we travel? We do travel because we have some work to do, because we have some holidays to do, We do travel because we want to say a concert, because we love Taylor Swift, because we love Olympic Games, because everybody loves Taylor Swift. Because there is a reason, and events are at the heart of those reasons. And you will see, we are already seeing, events plays an increasingly bigger role into generating demand for everybody, for hotels, and car rentals, of course, travel, etc. So whenever you do a forecast and a budget and all the beautiful things that Benjamin showed before, think also of the external factors that you believe might impact your business. Don't just look at, oh, I'm 10% up versus last year. Yeah, perhaps the market is 20% up, so you're not good. Or, oh, fuck, I am 5% down, and I mean, I'm not seeing price and power here. Yeah, maybe it's because the market is down, maybe because the guy cut the capacity, people are not coming, or there is too much capacity. So if you can, think about factorizing external factors. And with 1 minute left, that was the end of the presentation. Technology is a must. It's not even like a question. We don't have to think about investing millions in technology. I give you a number. A Louvre hotel pays like 1.3 million per year of license cost for the revenue management system. All right? But we make 6 million out of it just for the system, 6 million out of it. So you have a 4-to-1 return on investment ratio just on the technology. Plus, what the technology does is it takes the person that is doing copy and paste on the bloody Excel file all day long, and it puts this person into looking at figures and trying to make something out of the figures instead of crunching the figures. So the one person you pay to do copy and paste and run the VLOOKUP immense formula, he could do a better job and much more valuable job by using what the technology will do. So it's a capital yes.
You said that you are spending 1.3 million in the revenue management system. Can you share with the audience what is the average cost per room for the revenue management system that we may link to the cost per car? Okay, you take your revenue per unit per month. So how much?
So the cost of Louvre, it's a confidential thing. So,
okay.
but I'll give you
plus two.
No, but I'll give you not a realistic range. It is between 1 and 8 euros per room per month. Okay, why is between 1 and 8 euros per room per month? Louvre Hotel has 1-star hotels whose average daily rate is, which is the equivalent of RPD for hotel, is maybe 45 euros, and on the other end of the spectrum has some 4 and 5 stars hotels whose average daily rate is 160, 180. So you cannot simply have the same system. You cannot bear the cost of the same technology that you have in a 4-star hotel for a 1-star hotel. So you have to adapt. But this is the absolute cost, right? But imagine that you spend 0.something% on technology on top of your revenue. That's the proportion.
Thank you.